Welcome to the Smorgasbord podcast, episode 21, where we talk about a variety of different topics, unedited, uncensored, and unfiltered. Now, as you can see, this lighting is absolutely shit and god awful because we're back in the original setup because my mom had to move the computer. So, we'll try, but we have some new things coming. I've gotten a camera, so once we get that set up, it'll be much better quality and definitely much better lighting. I started this off. I'm actually quite upset. I don't know who I'm upset at. I don't know if I'm upset at. This is a story behind this because this is literally the reason. This happened like 6 minutes ago, and I'm actually fucking upset. I'm actually upset because this is bullshit. All right, so I'm over here chilling, just breathing air, breathing oxygen, living life. It's like not even sunny outside, but it's okay. We're just chilling. Life is good. I'm talking to my significant other. Yes, I have a girlfriend. And I'm just over here chilling. We're just having a good time talking, all the good life, you know what I'm saying? So she does this shit, which I don't understand why. Okay, I'm sorry. So she sends me a picture, right? It's a picture of all the Disney princesses. All right. You got Ariel, who's a hoarder, Snow White, Pocahontas. I don't know how the hell Pocahontas is considered a princess when she looks like she has the body of a 18-year-old porn star and she's 14. That did not go over well with Disney. Mulan, everybody, just a herd of females. The girl from Brave, the Merida, yeah, we got all of them. Oh, just down. And she just texted me, "Hey, babe, which Disney princess do you think is the prettiest?" Now, the minute she said this, I felt a disturbance in the force. Okay, I was like, okay. This could be innocent enough, but I felt like this was a setup because I thought this could have either went somewhere else and she got offended, or we could have had an innocent discussion about Disney princesses. I don't watch Disney that much. I have Disney Plus. I was just be a normal discussion, a civilized topic. All right, I'm just talking, right? So I'm just like, I'm stuck between three because I was stuck between Mulan, Pocahontas, and Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. Okay, so I said I'm stuck between three. What about you? She's like, "Lol, which ones?" And then I'll tell you mine. And I'm like, I texted it first. That's before I said it. I feel like this is a setup. And she just ignored that. And I'm like, so I tell her, "Oh, it's between this, this, and this." She then gets pissy with me. She's just like, "I'm taking that. Okay, I'm taking a nap. Good night." And I'm like, why? Why are you upset at me? So she then sends me this TikTok. It's like, apparently, if you ask this, these niggas is over supposed to hear, and over here, when you text them, you're supposed to say, "You're all bad. You're the number one princess, sweetheart." How? She knows I don't look at TikTok. I am not a millennial. I don't watch this bull. She knows this. I told this repeatedly, and she proceeds to set me up for failure. Why? How am I supposed to know? How is I supposed to know? How? Except people out there, explain that to me. How was I supposed to know that? How was I supposed to know? How? I'm supposed to be able to read. I already read minds, all right? And we'll get to that later, because apparently some other friends think I have freaking powers, but we'll get to that later. How is I supposed to know? How? How is I supposed to know? I don't even look at TikTok. I didn't even know it was a thing. I don't keep up with trends. I don't look at the news. I am literally old but young. How am I supposed to know? And she's pissed at me. So I sent her a voice message. I'm like, man, I knew this was a fucking setup. And even if she had included herself in the conversation, and she was like, "Who do you think is the prettiest out of them? Me and all these, including me and all these princesses." I would have been easily, "Oh, you, hands done." Because guess what? Half of them are fucking bland. We're talking about fictional fucking characters, and she's over here getting triggered. Why? It's not competition. I'm like, I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm sorry. It's bullshit. And I don't know why most females do this shit. Like if you ask them forward questions, right? There's sometimes you won't know what the end answer was. Just like, how do you feel? Are you really gonna ask me how I feel? Do you think if you had taken the time to pay attention to how I feel, you would understand the amount of time and effort I put to communicate to you how I feel? You're gonna ask me, have the gall to ask you that question, how do you feel? you don't pay attention. I'm like, oh my God, answer the question. It's just, oh my God. And I know what it is. And she's absolutely pissed at me. And she's like, and she's left me unopened. Like this happened 17 minutes ago. She's still upset at me. All right, look at this shit. I will text her and be like, look, what? And the thing is, I have to apologize. But it's not my fucking fault. It's hers. She set me up. She set me up. How? It's like putting a fucking mouse trap out with a block of cheese, and then when the mouse comes gets it, you fucking blame it for fucking getting it. Nigga, I didn't see the trap! Well, this is a great start. We're 5 fucking minutes in and I'm already yelling. This is bullshit. Thank God I'm home alone. I'll be great now, because this is, how was I supposed to know? God, Jesus. And she ain't the only one. This has happened to me a plethora of times. A plethora. Alright? Many times. And you like to think they'd be forward. No! They're not! Oh my God. This is so, I don't even know. That's just like, I've actually been mugged off. I've actually been fucking mugged off, mate. I've been mugged off. And this isn't right. I've been shafted. I've been bent over. And this isn't right. It isn't right at all. It ain't right at all. All right. How's it supposed to know? How's it supposed to know? Someone out there who's watching this, who's made it this far, 6:45 minutes in and counting. Explain to me in the comments or text me. How? How is I supposed to know? All right. How is I supposed to know? I don't look at TikTok. I have it downloaded. Don't look at it at all. I don't. I think TikTok is just a newer, revamped version of music. First of all, it's a revamped version of Musical.ly, and it's like a newer Instagram. It works the same way. How? And shit, I've told her many times. Yeah, I don't look at TikTok, so I wouldn't know anything about those. So yeah, I don't even watch them. I barely watch them on YouTube. The only time I'm now watching them is because everybody's like now talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we will get onto another way, I'm properly being shafted, and so I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to know, and am I actually upset? No. Well, kind of. That's a lie. I've been shit on. I've been proceeded to be shit on right now. Someone has decided to pour feces on me, metaphorically, of course, over the bullshit. I don't understand why. Why is this a thing? Why is this a thing? I don't know. But it motivated me to start stuff. That's it. Yeah, I'm done with that. We'll see what the fuck happens with that. She's gonna get pissed at me and be like, you should have fucking knew. I'm like, no, I shouldn't have. Because I apologize for a lot of shit. And guess what? I ain't apologizing for this one. Because I thought we were gonna have a normal conversation about which princess is the prettiest. Alright? Guess what? Most of them are fucking ugly. Most of them are basic. Alright? They've been out since the fucking 60s. Alright? They're trash! And they're telling me! Bro. How was I supposed to know? That's the question. This is the number one thing. She's pissed at me right now. For not knowing. Do you fucking understand? This is like PTSD for me. Because my mom used to do this bullshit. You don't know how to tie your shoes? Oh, we're just fucking stupid. Wow, really? You didn't fucking teach me! This is dumb! Oh my God! I don't get it. I don't understand. I cannot comprehend. And I gotta talk to some of my guy friends who have girlfriends too. And just be like, yo, Nick, I gotta have a word with you, bro, because this that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? This that bullshit. It is bullshit, and it is. But you know what? You move on. Moving on. Enough of this bullshit. Other topics. The NBA. The NBA there's the biggest debate going on right now is the NBA is, well, Kyrie Irving, point guard superstar, very controversial figure in the league, is stating that we should not start the league, and so is Kevin Durant. And the biggest debate of their argument is that the league will distract from the whole movement that's going on with the whole George Floyd and the police brutality and all that stuff. And I've already gone over a bunch of my opinions on all that stuff in previous episodes. Go check them out. And I gotta say, I disagree with Kyrie. And I feel like the league can actually propel the movement because nothing's really being watched, and people don't really want to watch MMA and the UFC. They don't like violence, I guess. I mean, I don't care. I watch it, but I don't pay for it. But I do watch the highlights and stuff like that. So, when the NBA comes back, I feel like they should keep it on because you can push the movement on there. You can wear your I can't breathe shirts. You can tell them, talk about the white privilege. You can talk about all that stuff on the television after you drop 50 points in the playoffs. Because that's what people will be watching. So, and it's in Disney. So, yeah, you're just oil money. Just there you go. I personally think if you just do it like that, and you just have people, and you do it like that, you'll be fine. And the reason I'm so low, by the way, the other chair broke, so I have this wheeling chair, not wheelchair, office chair that has wheels on it. Yeah, and the lighting is just so goddamn awful. Oh my god, both the lights. Yeah, no, we're not. I hate using this setup. But anyways, yeah. So personally, I believe the NBA, the biggest argument about it, the NBA and all that stuff, I believe they should just start it. I believe they should just start it because at the end of the day, they're gonna look. People are gonna watch. There's a global watch sport, and that whole movement. That if you want to bring it into that, you can. Plus, on top of that, it's definitely the distraction is needed because with all the stuff going on, this is very easily people watch. All they watch is the news. And for them, it makes them. The news is meant to be depressing, and then 2020 has obviously been one of the more depressing years recently with everything that's gone on from Kobe's death to Corona to all the other things that people forgot about. Because people forgot about Corona. So that's what I mean. People move on. People move on. I said people were gonna move on from Corona 6 episodes ago, but I digress. And basically, I think they need a distraction because if not, the suicide rates just go. And that's what's gonna happen. And I don't know. I think that this distraction is definitely needed because there's so much BS going on, and you don't really need to look at the BS all the time. It's gonna be so deep into it. I don't even watch the news. I watch YouTube, so I don't even watch all that stuff. I watched the protests first time because it happened in Georgia, and they were destroying shit. Again, I talked about it in the last episodes. For the entertainment factor, because I'm like, you motherfuckers are about to get destroyed. All right, and that's it. And these riots aren't gonna be over; they're gonna still happen. And my friends keep on asking me, "Are you gonna do a riot? Are you gonna join the protests and all that stuff?" I'm just like, no. One for because knowing my luck, personally, the day we show up is the day some Antifa motherfucker's gonna show up and throw tear gas or some shit in the White Roswell, and so my luck will be yeah, no good. Plus it turns into a Black Lives Matter movement thing, and again, previous episodes I stated my opinion on that stuff and all that. I'm just I'll stay away from that. I don't know. It's just some of us I want to stay away from. Just again, it's all anything, all the bullshit. And then of course now what's moving on is the elections, the politics that people forgot about. And apparently a bunch of people, I basically pranked Trump. Apparently he sold 1 million tickets, and then but apparently a bunch of the kids my age and stuff bought tickets to troll him so that nobody could go. And only 40,000 people showed up. Now that is a very legendary prank. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for it. But at the same time, had that happened to any other president, they would have been seen as an oppression of a vote, not voters' oppression, but oppression of to practice politics and with your beliefs in a sense of you couldn't go to a rally of your supporter because other people literally did that to prevent it. And in a way that can be compared to, obviously it's not on the same level, but it can be compared to when back when black people were being threatened and manipulated to vote for the people that the other guys wanted, in the sense. So in that way, I'm just like, yeah, that's not right. And but me saying that, I'm a coon because obviously because it's Trump. But if it happened to Obama, they'd been like, why would you ever do that? They're hateful rhetoric. Da, 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 da. And of course, Fox News, if they catch wind of it, they're gonna just the Democrats are behind it, and it's like, no, you're both full of shit. It's just a bunch of idiots. And just like, we're looking back, and personally, like I said, the election, I think Trump's gonna get reelected, and it's gonna be hilarious because I'm gonna hear all these same people who are bitching about him for the next 4 years, and I'm just like, y'all motherfuckers put him in office. Then when he gets put back again, because they're not gonna want to put Biden. They're gonna be like, oh my god, this is bullshit. Oh my god, impeachment, and I'm like, man, you get to shut up, and you get to you ride these 4 years out because this is the motherfucker you chose. And a big thing, because I have a couple friends who are Trump supporters, right? Who are there, so they still support him, but they're not happy with him, kind of. So, and there was one time my friend was like, he posted this thing on his story. It was like a 4 grid picture. It was a picture of like protest rallies, and then the protests, like the George Floyd ones, the peaceful ones, and then the Trump rally. And it was a whole, yes, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Say no, COVID. Basically implying that the protests were okay, but because it's Trump, all of a sudden COVID's an issue. And I found that very entertaining. So one of my black friends, Mahaley, shouts out to her, she texted me. She was like, what do you think about this? And well, I mean, I don't know. I find it entertaining. It's just like, I thought Harrison, I thought Harrison would support, and Harrison, he's been on the show before multiple times. I thought he would support someone else because since most of his friends are Mexican and, or Latin American and black, and I'm like, look, at the end of the day, we don't give a fuck about all that stuff because at the end of the day, we know he ain't racist. And he was just like talking all this stuff, and I'm like, look, at the end of the day, Trump, and this ain't gonna make sense when you first hear it. It's like, Trump is the best representation for America. And she was like, why would you say that? And I'm like, very simple. America is a company, and people don't want to admit that, but it's a company, and we're like over $25 trillion in debt. And who do you have running a company? Businessman. What is Trump? A businessman. Is he known as the king of debt? Absolutely. He can put 2 and 2 together in equal format, no matter which order you put it. So I believe he's the best representation. And guess what? He came from American schools, and this is the best we have to offer. This isn't like they came from some foreign land. He was raised in American homes, in American society, went to American schools, American colleges, and made American education. It came up through American businesses and came up through American politics. This is the best we can produce. So I don't know why people are bitching, because this is what we've created. So it doesn't make any sense. Because there's no one else to blame but ourselves, but we don't want to call on ourselves because we don't want to take accountability. And when it comes to all that, I'm just like, dude, Trump's gonna get reelected. It's gonna be another 4 years of people bitching or complaining. And I'd be like, the dark ages are over when he fucking does it. If he doesn't win, I'll be very surprised. It makes me sound like an ass. This makes me sound like an asshole. But when he wins, I don't support him. Don't get me wrong. I don't support none of this shit. I don't support him. I don't support none of them. I don't support him. I don't support Biden. I don't support nobody. I look at the politics and I'm like, man, y'all all full of shit, and y'all all really are the same. And any motherfucker who thinks that they're different, and I'm like, nigga, they really the same. They both they have their, like, left, right, y'all both are still in direction. Alright, and y'all both leads to bullshit. So, like, that's something I thought of. Like, man, you say, well, I'm a leftist, I'm a rightist, I'm a liberal, I'm a red and blue. And like, look, both y'all colors, both y'all directions, both directions lead right to the bullshit sandwich at the very top. It don't mean shit. Alright? And I just look at it and I'm like, but when he wins, when he wins, I'm going to laugh so hard. Oh my god. I'm not laughing because he won. I'm laughing because These motherfuckers didn't even give him a shot to fuck up. At the beginning, at the very beginning, the minute he won, it was just like, it's like oh, we're gonna impeach him. Like, that nigga hasn't even been sworn to office yet. Like, that night they were like, oh, we do impeach this nigga. And I'm like, and that isn't fair. That isn't fair. It isn't fair to him and all these people, because it depends on who you did it to. You did it to him, it's okay. You did it to Obama, it's considered racist. It's the same shit. It's based on perspective. So I'm like, okay, no, give him a shot, and then give him his shot to fuck up. And he's done some good things. He's done some fuck things. Guess what? Just like every other politician and president, Obama ain't perfect either. Niggas want to think that, like, the reason he won because he was black. And he was the first years, because the black people thought he was gonna fight for them when they didn't understand that he's a politician. He's gonna fight for the money. That was it, and that's why I believe that it won't matter if we have another black president, another white president, a woman president. So, especially that whole thing, we need a woman president. I'm like, why? Like, it's for representation. Like, yeah, but they represent. That's what I told my mom this. They represent the message, but they do not represent you. Meaning, they represent that, yes, they are female, but at the end of the day, that's a politician. They're going to say the same. And if she has a vagina and a pair of boobs, it's the same thing. If a dude with a dick, some person with a dick up there saying, we need to get the country up and running, and we're tired of the bullshit of Trump and the regime, and it's gonna be, at the end of the day, it's a politician. So either way, it's gonna be, no, they're gonna fight for the money, and they're gonna fight for the 1%, which is not the. So now people are learning that it was never about race, because the only color they cared about was green, so that the 99% is the minority. You know, because they're like, step over here, please. Just like, I talked about it before. They're going to ask you 3 simple questions. What do you do? Where do you live? How much do you make? Step over here, please. That's it. And black or white. It's like, because the only color they care about is green. Because why? Because this is a company. It ties back in. So I'm waiting to see how that goes. It's gonna be a shit show. I'm gonna be watching I'm gonna be having a bowl of popcorn, a can of soda. I'm gonna watch the show. I'm gonna enjoy it. And am I coming off as an asshole? Probably. Do I care? Not really, because a lot of people need to understand that we are also a bully country. Who do we have right in the country? A bully. But niggas has gotten so soft. They're like, oh, we never dealt with the bully before, so he's forced his way up to power. And guess what? He's now creating strong people to go against that. So in reality, he is the best and worst thing for America. So I find it very entertaining, and I think that whatever happens, it's going to be very enjoyable. And if anyone has a problem with it, we can talk about it. So that's my part. That's my stance on it. Switching over to something lighter, the UFC. There's a lot of drama going on. Obviously, I talked about everybody wants to retire and all that stuff. John Jones is trying to fight Mike Tyson, and he's just like, oh, I'll box you, and then we'll fight in the octagon. I'm like, no, don't. Tyson, well, first of all, Tyson would kill him in a boxing ring. Like he better just do this. Like what he does in the octagon with this, he better just do that for like however many rounds they decide if they do box. Because Tyson will kill him in that ring. But when they get to the octagon, John Jones is just going to wrestle him and have him tap out. That's it. Because he won't trade with Tyson. Because Mike Tyson will knock his jaw into like 2021. So that whole thing's going on. That's stupid. And then there's this thing. Recently, they had an event, UFC 251. And this kid was getting his ass kicked. It's all getting bad. And he was just like, hey, yo. He told his trainer, he was like, hey, man, call it. And his trainer was like, not letting him call it. Because it came more of a safety thing at that point. He was just like, call it. And he said 9 times. He was like, dude, call it. I ain't going to win this fight. Call it. And then his trainer was just like, no, you can do it. You're a champion. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. He's just like, dog, call it. And it took upon the fighter had to tell the ref himself, hey, yo, call it, because the trainer is so damn selfish. And then the trainer, I didn't even watch the interview with Ariel Helwani. He was like talking about, he was saying, the quote at the top. I didn't watch the entire thing, and so I haven't. I'm kind of ignorant on the topic. So he was like, but he basically the quote at the top was like, the quote on the top was, because I knew he would regret quitting that fight. You know, I'm like, so you want this kid to get his ass kicked because he was already gonna lose that fight. So he was just like, dog, for my health and safety, I'm getting the hell out of there. And they wouldn't let him quit, so he had to do it himself. He was just like, hey man, I'm out. I'm tapping out. I'm out. And then they would finally, but that trainer was, I believe that trainer was a jackass for doing that, and regardless of wins, losses, or whatever, they should have let him tap out because it was bullshit what they did to that. Bullshit what they were trying to do, trying to get him to go back out there. He's just like, nah, call it, I'm done. And I thought it was a very fucked up thing to do. And I'm like, if it was me, I would have fired him. I'm like, man, fuck you, I'm gone. I'm like, dude, I told you, I said call it, and you wouldn't let me call it. Fuck you, you're done. I'm out. And I would have fired him on the spot if it was me. And again, it's my ignorance. I haven't watched the interview from his perspective, so I have to watch it, and I'll see what happens with that. But I don't know. I just find it very, very greedy-ish. Like he's like you trying to fight him for like the money or some shit or whatever. And I was just like, that's very shitty. Because he was a very young child. He was very young. He was like 19 or something. So I did 20. And he was doing that. I was like, man, that's piss poor, you dude. You're like a grown ass man. This dude's getting his ass kicked. There's no reason for him to fight. He's already lost. Mentally, he gave up, and he was getting his ass kicked. And so he's going to send him back out there just to get his ass kicked. Because if anything, if he made him go out there, he probably would have made him tap. He would have been like, hey, yo, come here. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out. I'm done. He really would. That's what I would have did if I said like, oh, I'm done, get my ass kicked, I'm done, and they were like, you still got to go out there, and I'm like, hey, put me in this chokehold real quick. Let's go home, even if it hurt or not. Just, I'm out. I'm done because there's no reason. There's no reason. You live to fight another day, and I don't know why that resonate with him, and I don't get it. But speaking of the mixed martial arts, I talked about this with my mom, and I feel like this is a big issue still in general with dudes. The whole masculine thing and the whole masculinity thing about not showing emotion and all that other stuff. And while that's getting accepted, that part's getting more accepted. But the part that's not being accepted is the whole showing affection to people that are of the same gender. Not in a gay way. Not that you're gay. You're straight, but you're showing affection to like your sons or your family or your friends, or you're crying over your friends and all that stuff. Or you tell your friends, your homeboys, I love you, your traitors, whatever. And the only place that's acceptable, I have noticed, is in mixed martial arts and in boxing. Basically any fighting sport. Because you'll never see it in football. Tom Brady, what he was doing was weird. That was different. Tom Brady was just kissing them on the lips. And they're talking about like, and people took that weird. They called him a pedophile and stuff for kissing his son. You don't see it in basketball. Very rarely will you. Very rarely. At least not in the NBA. You definitely won't see it. You won't see any other sport except boxing and except in mixed martial arts, and that's more of a global sport, which is why. But I've noticed that it only comes down to three things. It comes down to people will not judge you really for it further. If you're one of three things. If you're known to be like a joker, to be like a funny guy, a comedian in a way, like a silly. If you're known for just like not giving a fuck and not caring, just being like, look, I'm gonna do me, whatever the fuck it is. And then whenever they mention your name, it's like, oh yeah, he's gonna do whatever he does. It is what it is. He's him. Or if you're a fighter, because that's it. Because when it comes to fighting, that is the only sport I have seen where they can kick. Which I don't understand that, because females, they'll say they can say I love you to each other like anytime they want, and it's not seen as judgmental. But for guys, when it comes to boxing or or boxing, is like you need to have 12 rounds of kicking each other's ass to be able to kiss each other on the cheek, hug them, and tell them you love them, and tell them, "Hey, great fight." But they had to kick each other's ass for 12 rounds, 1 to 12 rounds for that to be acceptable. So then with mixed martial arts, max rounds have to do is like five rounds of like 5 minutes. So like 20 to 15 to 25 minutes of kicking each other's ass to be able to be like, "Mwah, I love you, thank you for this fight, thank you, da 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 da. You're awesome, you're a brother to me." And let's say they were trainers. They like that's the only accepted sport where it's like show affection. And I think that's wrong because it's even in my life. I'm one of those I'm not a fighter, but I am known as a silly, funny person, and I don't give a fuck, and people know that. So I'll really tell friends that are boys and girls, "Hey, I love you," but I'll never hear it back in person. Like I've only heard it back from my dad. Of course, my dad, he didn't care as well, so he didn't care either. So he was just like, yeah. And but when it comes to I tell my guy friends that they'll never say it back. I've never heard it from any of my friends I've known since I was like young or small. I told all of them that, but never once have heard it back. But you look at these girls over here; they'll literally kiss each other on the lips, and they'll be seen as straight. But if you do it in any other setting where you're not kicking each other's ass, you're seen as gay. And then you also have to be a funny man. Like Shaq was one of the very few people that would openly be kissing his son from small to where there's pictures of him kissing him when he graduated high school. But you understand that's also like a seven. Again, there's also intimidation factor. You're gonna tell a 7'1" black man who's like 200 pounds that he's gay for kissing his son, and he's also a comedian, so he's also a silly guy. Of course, I'm like, oh, he don't give a fuck. It's Shaq, and that's wrong too. I believe you should show affection no matter what. And all girls say that, so you'd be like, it's okay. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not because another thing about that too is that when you show affection, it gets flipped on your head by men and women alike. Let it be in an argument, let it be in anything, and it's just in general, it's just flipped back on your head, or it's looked down upon. And do I think we'll get there anytime soon? Probably not. I think it's just gonna be more niggas who just be like, "Hey, yo, fuck it," because it's okay to kiss your daughters and all that shit, but the minute your son, you gotta kick him in the chest. And I'm like, I never understood that. And so for me personally, if I ever have children, I'm just gonna be like, look, I love you. Mwah, don't give a fuck if you don't give a damn if you're a girl, boy, whatever the fuck. And that whole thing where it's like you don't show emotion. I'm like, I don't know, because there are times to show emotion, there are times to not. For me, I've always been told it's okay to cry on that shit, but I haven't cried in like 10 years, so I don't know. Again, I don't know. And that's not even an exaggeration. I have not cried. Like, so I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Hope that whole movement, I think, is a very forgotten one. Uh, and I think that it needs to be changed, and I think that'll come with time because, like, again, at the end of the day, we're animals. At the end of the day, so they're gonna look at that upon weakness and sensitivity, because sensitivity and emotion is more of a feminine trait, or it's stronger in the feminine gene, I guess. I don't know that's scientific, but that's just what I've noticed from watching humans for 15 years so far. Um, and I think that you should be able to, if you want to cry, cry, because the other day we are human. And I tell people that and all that stuff, so they'll be holding it in and be having heart attacks at 36. Like, that's what a suicide rate for boys is so much higher than girls. Because not saying that girls' problems get solved, but they are taken way more serious. Anything happens to a guy is considered funny. Like, if a girl like cut a dude's dick off, right, threw it in the garbage disposal and turned it on, people would thought it was hilarious. All right, you think if some guy removed a woman's boob and threw it in the dryer, anyone would be laughing the next day? the entire country would grind to a halt. There'd be a moment of silence. The NFL would have to make make a new color headband to wear for an entire month, all right, or for a day. The NBA would do like a take time off the shot clock to dribble out in remembrance of it. It'd just be overall, it'd be just a thing that'd be taken serious, and overall, you're pitied. There's groups. There's nothing out there for a guy. You're supposed to hold it in and then like die at the age of 36 with never admit a baby's cute, say you want a cookie, want to hug a puppy, all that other stuff. Just gotta push that shit down slowly and not be able to cry at sad movies. I'm slowly dying inside, and I think that's a big thing. That's why a lot more dudes will off themselves than girls, because girls will off themselves. But that's taking more serious. If a guy doesn't, like, oh man, you weak as hell. And that's a me thing too. And that's what I need to work on too. Subconscious. I'm just like, look, man, you're weak as hell. And for that shit, it's like you're weak and all that stuff. That you're seen as weakness. But then all these females are like, it's so strength. And I'm like, for y'all, because it's accepted. But however, if a nigga were to ever cry over a movie, we would all look at him and be like, you are looking like a bitch right now. What is wrong with you? All right. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. And I don't think it'll be changed anytime soon. I think that it definitely needs to be changed at some point. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And it's just... But another thing needs to be talked about that is being forced upon the youth. Growing up too motherfucking fast. Okay. Now, I've been told in my lifetime, I think like I'm much older. I'm wise beyond my years. I think I'm just a kid that just paid attention. The issue that a bunch of my friends have, and even my girlfriend, is that they want to be older. They want to be a grown up. And their parents also try to force them to be a grown up. And it's very different from teaching them lessons. It's not like they're teaching them lessons. That's not what I'm talking about. You can teach somebody lessons. But to teach them lessons and then force them to do it at a young age I believe is very wrong. Like if you were like all those parents out there who tell their kids to get a job, they get a job and tell them, okay, now you have to help me pay my bills. Nigga, no, because you fucking had me. At the end of the day, you wanted to. You thought when you had this, you could afford this life. I ain't paying for my own shit yet. I'm still 15. You pay for that shit because you're the adult. You're supposed to support me. I'm not supposed to support me till I'm able to. Because I'm not supposed to support me and you. I'm supposed to support me. And that's a big problem because a lot of these kids also think that because they've seen a couple of shit, or they drank a little bit early, they smoke a little weed early, they have sex early, they're like, oh, I'm a fucking adult. And I'm like, that's not. Because at the end of the day, adult's not a thing. It's not a physical thing. It's a mindset. And even in the mindset, there are aspects that are adult. But at the end of the day, if you're 15, you're 15. There's still going to be some aspect of you as a child. And that's a big argument I had with my girlfriend. She was like, I'm mentally an adult and all this, and I hate when you call me a kid. And I'm like, dog, you're 16. Nigga, you can't even drive yet, dog. Like, you telling me you're an adult. Like, mentally, are you an adult? Absolutely. Like, mentally, in aspects of your brain, are you an adult? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the fact that our fundamental concern right now is school, like, that's the shit we're worried about more. Obviously, there's a lot of politics, but the thing we should be worried about is school. I mean, come on now. Put 2 and 2 together. Like, you're not even allowed to legally do shit. Like 18. And even in 18, you're still a kid because you're not even legally allowed to do everything. So, and I also think it's another problem with it, because I have to tell all my friends, so they're just trying to fucking hold the shit in. It goes back to the emotion thing. Boys and girls alike. Is that their parents also try to live their life or their dreams through their children, which is also wrong because they failed in doing the things they wanted to do, and they, in whatever situation they had, they're all the same but different. Oh, excuse me. They will go ahead and be like, "Oh, okay, you should do this, or you should do this, or you should do this, and you should help me with this, help me with this." And I'm like, "Why?" And none of those kids have ever been taught to think like me and be like, or think like people like me and be like, "Why?" I didn't ask. And parents hate it when I say this. My mom hates it when I say this, but this is the cold hard truth. I ain't asked to be here. I didn't. You and the dude got horny, and y'all had sex, and you got pregnant. You didn't use protection. The protection broke. You didn't take a Plan B pill. You didn't. You decided to go through the pregnancy. You didn't have an abortion. You didn't have a late term abortion. You didn't give me up for adoption, and you'll still bitch about how expensive a child is. Or you'll tell me, a child, to support myself at a younger age when I'm like, again, you brought me into the bullshit. How is that fair? If you buy a dog, right, you take care of it because that's your responsibility. You don't bitch at the dog for being like, well, how come you can't feed yourself? And I'm like, Nikki, you brought me into this house. You could have left me where I was. I ain't asked to fucking be here. I could have been over there chilling on my own stuff, or I could have never even been here. But your ass decided to have me. So there is no other way to spin the story. This is like your fuck up, which is another thing I like to think about. Is like where like the whole religion thing too, about especially Christianity, where it's like you got to come up and get judged. That thing found funny, made kind of hypocritical sense. I'm like, dude, like you made me, so this is your fuck up. Like you make hoes, you have me suck at math, and then you think this is not gonna go off the rails? Like if you have a car and it doesn't start, I'm like, you evil piece of shit. No, like that's not how that works. Yeah, you gotta work on stuff. You gotta fix it. It's the battery charge. It's is there gas in the tank? Anything else above this, I have to have a real man look at it. But I believe in you. See, it's stuff like that. You bring it back to them like that, it makes sense. Or I could be just rambling right now and nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. But again, this opens up stuff to talk about, opens up discussions that are comfortable and uncomfortable. So, yeah, I think that's a very important thing too. Uh, Another thing that I don't like with the guy community, guys in general, that like I don't know why it's like a bitch move to talk out some shit instead of fighting, it's being like ready to pop off, and I'm like, why? Like the amount of times I have proceeded to almost get in a fight, even though I've never been like in a proper fight, because I've seen friendships end because of pride and all that stuff over a female or whatever, and I'm like, if I had the social withdrawal, the social awareness of what I have now, I would have went back because the situation I kept on talking about with my friends and about over a girl, and I was just like, dog, I've been like this. I would have been straight up. So I would be like this. Look, I'm gonna say as respectfully as possible because I'm friends with both of y'all. You, fuck your goddamn pride. All right, you're fighting over some girl. There ain't no disrespect to the girl because it was a girl thing too. Fuck your goddamn pride. Fuck your arrogance. Fuck, humble the hell out. Stop fighting over some dude. It's the same thing. Works both ways. And because I never understood that too. Never understood fighting over somebody and like over them. It's not even like they did anything. They're just like they're just fighting over them. Like, yo, dog, you look at my girl, and I'm like, you're stupid if you think that there's not gonna be people looking at them. It's like that's why like I don't understand. Like again with my girl, she was like always. I don't know. This kind of breaks my heart a little bit. Like she's run into so many like piece of shit people. That she would always be scared to do shit, and she isn't used to people being nice. I'm just like, fuck it. Like she'd always think I'd be mad at her whenever she gets pissed at me. Whenever she's just like, doesn't agree with me, I'm just like, why would I get mad at you? Like, because you don't agree that with the show. Like, what? I'm gonna get mad at you over that? Really? No. And then another one that she said was like, it was like something about if you say, like, she doesn't like the term have fun because a lot of people say have fun in a sarcastic, bitchy tone, boy and girl, and I'm just like, fuck you, dude, you a jackass, and it's like boy and girl because they do that thing, oh, have fun or you do you and all that shit, and I'm like, and that's a big thing too, and and overall she was just like she never really was used to someone being like nice to her, and I'm like, are people that really that shitty? And they ain't just guys too, because there's some females who are shitty. I've ran into a plethora who are shitty. And they have treated me shitty. So I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, dog. That's fucked up. And and because of all those experiences, it makes you mature faster. But in that aspect, also ruins your childhood. And it makes you think that, oh, I'm an adult now. I'm like, no, you're not. Because you're still a kid. And it's actually more mature to recognize your youth and stop trying to be something that you're not, or be somewhere that you're not there yet, and to enjoy the time you have now. Because when you're an adult, you're gonna be, man, I wish I was a kid more. So to all my friends or to all those people who ever watch this, you young, stay young. Stop trying to live in the past. And if you're an adult, be an adult. Whatever the hell that means. Because there is no proper definition, all this bullshit, all the politics in this world, that ain't what a fucking adult is. Live in the now. That's all that pertains to. That comes back to one statement: live in the now. If you're a parent, start trying to live through your child in the past, trying to live your childhood through them, so trying to live that. Let it be to force them to do a sport that they didn't want to do, or whatever the hell it is, get a job, whatever. Let them be a child. And then to all my friends who are my age and lower, or a little bit higher, stay young, dude. Because you'll be an adult for the rest of your life. Be a child now and enjoy the youth now. Enjoy where you are in this moment now and appreciate everything you have now, because you never know when it's over. You never know when it can be stripped away from you. And just like that, it's gone. You'll never know when it comes back again. And that pertains to strict parenting. That pertains to school. That pertains to a lot of things. Enjoy the moments now, because you never know when they'll come again, or you'll never know. And this is the one and only time, or the last time, that it will ever happen. Whew, excuse me. So live in the now. Enjoy who the hell you are now. And and life will be a lot happier, and life will be a lot easier. Uh, so yeah, you do that. I feel like life in general will be happier. Life in general will be go by much more fun, much more enjoyable. And that also comes back to the whole suicide thing, the whole the rich and poor. Because the rich and poor thing, which is like the rich will kill themselves more likely than a poor person. And I talked about this in depth in a previous episode. I can't remember which one. Because it pertains to anything. Like if you have something so many times, it's expected to come. It's no longer a matter of if; it's a matter of when. And there's a lot of simple things that we take for granted, like oxygen or life itself, food, and for rich people, it's like, well, I know I'm gonna eat tomorrow. But for poor people, it's just like poor people are gonna be like, I don't know if I'm gonna eat tomorrow. What the hell am I gonna eat? I gotta find that out. And then it comes back to life in general, just waking up every day. So sometimes you're gonna be like, I don't know if I'm gonna wake up today. Stay, but also I'm gonna appreciate where I'm at right now. And then you're gonna have the people who are like, I know I'm gonna wake up the next day. And it takes a fucking and the fact that it takes a fucking tragedy to realize that, hey, guess what, motherfuckers, life ain't guaranteed, is just blows me beyond belief. Like the amount of time when X Tentacion died, and niggas were talking about, life is precious. I'm like, I've been telling y'all motherfuckers this since the beginning, and now it took one of your celebrities to get shot up in a fucking car to be like, oh, life is precious. Like, man, shut the hell up. And so bringing back to suicide, it's like they know they're gonna wake up, and when you know something's gonna come the next day, or it's something that you can quote unquote rely on, but you don't really appreciate it, you're quicker to not use it, and you're quicker to dispose of it, and you're quicker to get rid of it, versus to someone who doesn't know, like people who like rich people, with already eat something, they're more wasteful because they know they're gonna have to be more. Like, I am more wasteful than a poor person, because a poor person's gonna, if you give me a pizza, I might eat some of it and then throw away the rest because I know there will be another chance. If you give a poor person that same thing, they will eat all of it as much as they can try to get all of it, because they'll never know that'll be a food. They'll get fed the next day or the next week. So it just comes to a matter of appreciation and living in the moment. If you appreciate everything you have, and because having something great means a greater loss, and if you just appreciate what you have now, you won't get you won't and I think that helps with, I think that actually can help with depression, that whole mindset of stuff, because and it's the same mindset with that. It's just like, I know the next day is gonna be shit, I don't know when the next day is gonna be good, so or they'll be like so playing off themselves, and I feel like that, and that's more seen in a guy thing, but you'll never see it, you'll never talk about it, because there's no one out there helping them, because it gets thrown back in their face or something, although that fear, or it's just like, there's no point. And for girls, there are girls who have that mindset too. They're just like, there's no point. But the girls, I'll say they hide it way worse. They're terrible at hiding it to an extent. Some girls are good, but like, again, it goes back to, I didn't get to talk about it. I'll talk about it next episode. Long story short, I have a friend. She was very depressed. She was dealing with some shit, but she didn't tell nobody. And she was just like, she was always on I was looking at her Instagram. She was just like smiling on her stuff, and I just looked at her. I looked at her. And there was something in me that told me, I said, man, she is depressed. Something's going on. And it was a friend. It was a friend of mine, like a good friend of mine's girlfriend. I was just like, yo, you all right? And she was like, why? And she was like, I don't know, man. You seem off. You seem like there's something wrong with you. And then she got paranoid as hell. She was like, who told you something? Did my boyfriend tell you something? She's like, no. I'm like, I'm just checking on you. And I'm friends. I talk to her every day, and I'm probably gonna talk to her later and see how she's doing. And she also tries to sell us the bullshit, which I had to yell at her for a little bit, because she sells the world the bullshit, and they ate it right up, and then until they randomly across a motherfucker like me who saw through it, who's seen enough bullshit to know what it looks like. And I'm just like, don't sell me the bullshit, man. I know you ain't all right. There is no point. Just be honest. Be honest with your feelings, and more importantly, be honest with yourself. Because if you're honest with yourself, you can start somewhere. And that goes with, again, it ties back to everything I said last episodes about the black community, about any community, race, whatever, especially with ourselves. We're honest with ourselves, then we can be honest with our families, we can be honest with our community, we can be honest with other communities, we can be honest with the world. But it has to start somewhere. And the smallest thing is ourselves. We must start off there. Start off there, we can go somewhere with that. But this has been another episode of the Smorgasbord podcast. Sorry it started off so intensely, now it's got more like depressing. Stay safe. Love y'all. Bye.